Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So guys, with everything that's been taking place from the standpoint of YouTube and all of the video demonetizations and YouTube coming up with different policies and shadow banning and all this other stuff, it's time for a conversation. Now, I don't know if this conversation has come up before, but I would imagine this is lefty media. I don't see why it wouldn't come up, so I'm bringing it up. I'm going to explain how I see the world, my paradigm of things. Now, you can either accept or deny my paradigm of things in the way I view reality in this case. But if you accept it, I'm going to ask a question at the end. And I would say the answer to that question should be undeniably yes. It should be undeniably yes. From my standpoint, a lot of people on YouTube, and I'm talking about YouTubers who do videos, come together and they put their brains, they put their ideas, their visions of the world and their creativity, and they put it on this channel, the YouTube channel, youtube.com. And putting this stuff on the channel itself, for the most part, they're putting a massive amount of labor, meaning some channels put in more labor than others, but they're giving themselves and putting themselves out into the larger world. Now, YouTube allows a space for them to do that, for them to put themselves out into the larger world. But ultimately, what we're talking about is just a location, a digital watering hole. People show up because they know videos are going to be here. And they see their favorite artist, they see the favorite person, their favorite YouTuber. And they dial into that particular content, like a channel. That's it. That's the extent of YouTube's, grace in this case. On top of this, the YouTubers themselves are fundamentally stuck in this weird spot of doing the labor, doing the work, but not necessarily getting greatly compensated for that work. And at any particular time, a video can be demonetized, meaning they're not going to get compensated at all. The labor was done, the labor was pushed, people will be viewing that particular bit of labor. YouTube will reap all the benefits of that particular labor, but YouTube will not give anything back to the particular person who made that particular video. Thank you for your work. We're going to demonetize this. But people are still going to come. People are still going to view. So, there's that. There's that. That seems a little strange to me. Not to mention, it's also a little strange that YouTube itself can take it upon itself to change the algorithm many times at once. It could change the algorithm in a way that shadow bans certain content, or not even shadow banning certain content. I mean, just the capacity to be able to change somebody's what they earn on a whim like that is somewhat problematic. Meaning they can say, look, we're going to change our algorithm. And the way that we're going to change our algorithm is going to keep people from your particular videos, meaning you're not going to get as much as you would typically get. They can say, we're going to change the algorithm in a way where we're going to demonetize videos talking about comic books, talking about this, talking about that. Meaning you're not going to get credit for your work while YouTube itself reaps the benefits of your labor. Is that fair? Is that fair? Not to mention, the owners of the company themselves controls everything associated with the company itself, while at the same time reaping all of the benefits of your hard labor. Is that fair? Is it fair? Is it fair for them to make billions of dollars on your backs? Now, yes, they give you a percentage of it. And yes, you've made somewhat of a living off of that percentage that they give you. At least some have. But come on. You have no power in this process. Zero. They change the algorithm at a whim whenever they want to. They make any rule that they want to. Ultimately, your goal in this is just to obey. And you're stuck in the sense that you're making a living off the channel itself. Meaning if they make any changes, or you may, hey, you might be one of the people who just get all their videos demonetized. Sorry. The salary itself, to some degree, is your leash in regards to your I guess readiness to bitch and complain at some of the choices they've been making recently. Now, my question here is straightforward. If you're doing all the labor, if you're doing all the work, if this site, for all intents and purposes, is just a digital swap meet or a digital watering hole, if that's all this is, and yet they're reaping billions from the labor that you yourself are expending in order to, for your fans and everything else. Shouldn't there be more for the workers in this? Shouldn't there be more of a process in which they make a decision on what to demonetize? Shouldn't there, I guess my point is, shouldn't you have more of a say, seeing that this site lives or dies based on whether or not you add your work and your labor to the site? You have no power in this, and yet it's purely dependent upon you and your labor. And yet at any moment, they can strip away your monetization for pretty much anything. It doesn't really matter whether you have a say-so in it or not. They can strip it away. And it's stripping away your, essentially demonetize your videos on a whim. Thank you for your labor. But yeah, we're going to demonetize these. Sorry. Sad day. If every YouTuber stopped making videos for YouTube. Now, I know that's not going to happen. I'm just making a point. All of this is purely dependent upon us. All of it. If YouTubers stop making vids, YouTube dies tomorrow. It will croak like an old man. That's us. Look, I guess I'm making the point of saying they have all the rewards. All of it. I mean, they are literally making all of the choices in this. And yet, all of the choices boil down to your labor. I'm trying to get a point across of this disparity in the relationship, despite the fact that it's purely dependent on us. When you want to have the capacity to say, well, wait a minute, you're demonetizing these videos, that doesn't necessarily seem fair. And maybe rules for the way they go about doing this process, seeing as this process is going to affect lives and the people who actually make videos for this particular company. When you want more control over your life, especially within regards to your capacity to make videos and make profits on this channel. That's what I'm asking. Pursuant to that, does it not make sense to form a union? Now, when I say union, I mean how many YouTubers are there? How many YouTubers need to get together to aggregate for something like that to take place? And if you're looking for an organized body in which to deal with things, meaning dealing with the company itself, wouldn't an organized body be better than just individuals getting letters in the mail from YouTube saying, sorry, we took your money for this video. Sorry, we demonetized this. Sorry, we changed this particular rule set, meaning that your videos are going to take an L. Sorry, we took 90% of your profits when we changed the algorithm overnight. Sorry. Do you want to get that letter as individuals? Or do you want to actually have the collective bargaining power to deal with the parent company itself? I don't think a digital union would be a bad idea. So, if you agree with me, I guess, sign below. If you agree with me, sign below. And yeah, I am talking about a union for all the YouTubers. For all intents and purposes, we work together at this exact same plantation. We may enjoy what we do, that's fair. And yeah, we're at our creativity and everything else. We chose to make our creativity and everything else felt here. But don't misunderstand what I'm saying. This is not that dissimilar to any other job that you was working. And we've ended up in this situation of relying on patrons. It's almost like somebody working at Walmart and still depending on government services. If the job itself paid them what they were worth, what they were putting out from the standpoint of the output, if they paid them a fair wage, they wouldn't necessarily need to rely on government services. The thing with patrons is kind of similar in this respect. Yes, the patrons help. Yes, the patrons are nice. But at the end of the day, if the people who are working here at Google, on YouTube, making their videos, making their contents, making their creative works, if they were paid in a fair way, then they wouldn't necessarily need to rely on patrons. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. My first choice would be a worker co-op, meaning people who have an exodus from YouTube into this kind of a worker-owned co-op of all the YouTubers themselves, kind of making up this show or owning the company and the organization. My second choice, and I think the one that's more likely or more feasible, is a union. Let's form a union. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I guess my point is, if you want any level of control over the content or this particular edifice itself, then acting as individuals is not going to get you that control. If you start thinking from the standpoint of an organized labor, meaning all of you are giving your labor and in an organized way engage the company itself, I would almost wager you would have more, for one, better access to the way things go down. But two, it gives you more of a platform to actually make those arguments and engage in a real, substantial way that you couldn't necessarily do if you were just a single individual trying to do it. So, I will leave it on this. YouTubers, let's unite. Let's form a union. So, I don't necessarily know if anybody else is thinking about this. I don't necessarily know if anybody else has said this. I kind of just, this was something I was thinking about yesterday. I don't even know the mechanics of this. But I am interested in talking about it. So, I'll leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, there's always Patreon. Thanks guys.